Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to listen in either on demand or live with our webinar today. My name is Anastasia Valentine, and I'm the head of marketing at Datacratic, and I'll be facilitating your webinar today. I wanted to take a moment to introduce your thought leaders who will be presenting today. We have Jeremy Barnes, and he's our CTO and the co-founder of Datacratic. He's a technology leader and very active at the intersection of artificial intelligence and industry. He's also a very, very well-respected expert in the machine learning space. Jeremy will be speaking to you today about the role of machine learning and how it plays into the Lotame Optimizer product. We also are very lucky to have the VP of Product Management, Kalyan Lanka. He is responsible for Lotame's product strategy and roadmap, and his primary focus is creating a unified data management platform that showcases the value of data and uses beyond audience targeting. Kalyan will be speaking to you today about Lotame Optimizer product, as well as presenting some very impressive case studies. So the agenda is pretty simple today. We want to have both of our presenters talk to you about various aspects of machine learning and audience targeting, kicking things off with the marketing paradigm shift with Jeremy. You know, behavioral data is being generated at every click, every download, and every online action. So we're going to talk about how marketers need to manage this data moving forward, and then how to power your campaigns with machine learning. We'll then hand it off to Kalyan, where he's going to talk to you a little bit about the Lotame Optimizer and the 4 very easy steps to audience targeting. And then we'll showcase 3 really great case studies from our customers. Now, Jeremy, I'll hand it over to you to kick things off.
Right. Thanks, Anastasia. Welcome, everyone, to the webinar. It's really great to have you all here. And special thanks to Lotame for giving us the opportunity to reach out to their customers and have a direct conversation like this. It's something that we really appreciate. Just a little bit more background on myself. I'm a machine learning person, so a lot of the work I do is on the science and math side of things. I don't actually wear a pocket protector, although I don't think most of the people I know would be surprised if I actually started to wear one. And so the angle that I'm going to take in this webinar is more around what's the science behind it and what's machine learning, how does it fit into this whole explosion of data, this paradigm shift, and all this data-driven marketing, which is starting to happen and starting to get really excited these days. So the title of the webinar today is The Paradigm Shift. And the paradigm shift we're talking about here is from human-based to machine-based decisioning. And what's driving that really is a confluence of several factors, but the biggest one being the absolute explosion in the amount of data which is coming in every single second as people go about their everyday lives. We can see here, for example, in the last 5 years, there's been more than a 20x increase in the number of data points that are available at an individual consumer level. And everyone is awash in this data. No one has been spared from it. So this leads us to start to think about what can we do with all this data and what's the best way to start to analyze it. It's getting harder and harder to tell the signal from the noise. And with the more manual-driven tools, although there are still a lot of insights that can be gained from them, and they're still very valuable, there's something extra which we can get with machines to help us to analyze that data and make those decisions. To put some more concrete numbers on it, Lotame has over 1 million behaviors in their system, and some Lotame customers have hundreds of thousands of individual behaviors across hundreds of millions of individual cookies. Doing that manually, taking advantage of that, is something which is getting harder and harder and harder, and need a backup of a machine to do it. So that's where machine learning comes in. So machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence. And machine learning, in its essence, concerns constructing systems that can learn from data. So what do we mean by learning from data? Well, mostly what we talk about when we learn from data is the ability to recognize patterns in that data, and those patterns that can be predictive of what's going to happen in the future, so of future events. So when we do machine learning, what we really do is we teach our program how to look at data, recognize patterns, and how to apply those patterns to predict something that you need to know in the future. So the key thing there is there's two phases. There's a learning phase where we predict patterns from what's already happened, and then there's a prediction phase where we predict what's likely to happen in the future. And once we have these predictions made, we can integrate them into a decisioning system like Lotame Optimizer to actually make them actionable. One of the most exciting recent developments in technology has been the development of self-driving cars. Google is the most famous example of that. What a lot of people don't know is that what has made these self-driving cars possible, on top of a bunch of incremental improvements in things like robotics and location sensors and things like that, is a huge improvement in what can be done by machine learning. And it's machine learning which allows those Google cars to analyze the information necessary and make those decisions like braking or steering or turning as necessary for a self-driving car to actually work. Another thing which has been more and more obvious recently is that major brands are investing in machine learning. And that's especially true in the technology and marketing spaces there. Now, a lot of these brands, what they do is they build up a very, very large and expensive team of machine learning practitioners or data scientists, and they set them loose on the huge amounts of data that they collect from all their activities all over the place. This has become more and more competitive advantage and is even starting to become table stakes now in order to compete in the same markets as these companies. So what we do with Datacratic is we want to democratize this machine learning technology, and we want to make it available to everyone who has data and needs to do something with it to gain insights from it, or in particular who needs to use that data in order to perform actions automatically. And marketing fits very, very well into that structure. So this diagram here can see how we think about closing the gap between the data itself and the delivery of these actionable decisions at the other end. I'm going to read this slide from bottom to top because we can then start with the data and get through the normal process. So, the core of Datacratic's technology is a automated real-time machine learning platform that can train and operate thousands of models fully automatically and update them at the same speed that the data is coming in. Now, any platform which is based on data needs data itself, and really the foundation of all machine learning is the data. So in Lotame's platform, there is not only the first-party data from the that you, the customers, are putting in, but there's also a huge and rich set of second and third-party data, and Lotame is there to facilitate access to that. Now, the data is a fuel which feeds the fire, and so putting your data in Lotame is a huge advantage in terms of having the necessary data ready to make actionable decisions. After that, within our platform, we perform a modeling step. So our experts have created a kind of automated platform there which can solve the modeling problems of marketing customers there, and that's the modeling step there. And that is designed and has been customized and tweaked to work really, really well with Lotame's within Lotame's platform. After the models are trained, which happens every day, they're then applied to the data coming in to make predictions, and the output of those predictions then are thresholded and put back into Lotame's platform as an audience. After that, the audience can be delivered through whatever is the preferred delivery channel via Lotame's existing integrations. So just a couple of points there before I hand over to Kalyan that I'd like to get across. Firstly, this is a fully integrated solution. So this is not a separate relationship with Datacratic. This is a Lotame product, and Datacratic is implemented as a technology provider within it. What we're trying to do here is provide you a little bit more color into what's happening behind the scenes so that to help contextualize the kinds of use cases and to give a little bit more color about what's going on there. And Datacratic does not sell, own, or broker any data. We fit within Lotame's product vision. You could kind of think of us like Amazon Cloud for modeling. And with that, the vision from Lotame's side is driven by Lotame's product team, and Kalyan is going to go and take you through the actual product itself.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy. That's a lot of really important and great detail, so appreciate your inputs. So we're going to quickly cover Lotame Optimizer product, but some quick background here. As Jeremy mentioned, we did a lot of due diligence to figure out the best way to tie our valuable and our customers' valuable data sets with a really unique machine learning technology to provide performance improvements and to help our customers get better, conversions, clicks, or better performance of their campaigns at a lower cost. And while talking to Datacratic, and you've heard Jeremy's philosophy and his experience around machine learning, we knew on day one that they were the best partners to facilitate this. So we are really glad we partnered with Datacratic, and numbers speak for themselves. So we're going to walk you through some case studies and real examples that we put together using some live campaigns, and you'll see the type of performance improvements we are able to deliver using Lotame Optimizer powered by Datacratic. So the product is, using these sophisticated machine learning algorithms that Jeremy walked through to provide several benefits to our customers. The main benefit is improving your campaign performance. So you're running CTR-based or conversion-based campaigns. We have created a very unique system that you can use to improve the performance of these metrics of your campaign KPIs using some sophisticated act-alike models and look-alike models. Thereby, you can increase your ad revenue via repeat business, and several clients of Lotame are already using this product, and we're going to show you some real examples here that show the impact it's creating on various live campaigns. And you can extend the reach of some smaller audience segments you have. Now, this is a very unique use case, and some of our customers will benefit a lot from this. Take an example, right? So let's say you have a bunch of users who watch American Idol every week. Now, you don't have a lot of those users. You have about 10 million of them in an audience segment. You want to target them via campaigns across your inventory and on open exchanges. Using the Lotame Optimizer product powered by Datacratic, we can find other users who are very similar in behavior to those 10 million users who watch American Idol. You can reduce your audience targeting costs. Now, we all know that we rely on third-party data when we don't have a lot of first-party data for a specific premium segment. So Optimizer helps you identify those really high-performance third-party and first-party segments that you can rely on at a very lower cost to improve the margins of your campaign buys and sells. Really unique use case here for some of our publisher customers and advertisers as well is you can now create product-specific, brand-specific, and advertiser vertical-specific, always-on audience segments that are completely performance-driven. people who always click on CPG campaigns, people who typically convert on auto campaigns in the last few days, etc. And the end goal here is optimizing the performance of your campaign. And the beauty of, and we'll cover some of these details in the next slide, the beauty of this product is it helps you optimize the performance of your campaign in flight. So you can right away, within a couple of days after starting your campaign, deliver improved results using the optimization techniques we built into the product. Okay, so let's talk about the workflow real quick. Now, we'll show you a UI that we built that most of you and our customers will be using to create these optimization models. You don't really see all the, algorithms and the models that are working in the background, but it is really important for our customers to understand how much happens in the background and how real time these models are getting updated, because it's really important to get you this feedback as soon as possible so you can start improving the performance of your campaigns. So there are three components built into our workflow. The first one is data collection. As most of our Lotame customers know, we collect data and add user profiles to our data management platform in real time. Now, because we are collecting these data points in real time, those data points are made available to our modeling engine in real time. So the models are always training and modeling and scoring using real-time profile of a customer. And then the models are trained using a combination of first, third-party, and branded data in real time again. Now, as Jeremy mentioned, one of the key value props that we bring to the table for Optimizer is the amount of vast data points we have on each consumer. So if you rely only on your first-party data, that data might not be enough to create the required optimization or performance improvement for that campaign. So we use a combination of different data points in our system to help you create rich models. The third layer is scoring the users. Now, while we collect data and train these models in real time, we do not score the users in real time. Now, technically, we do have the capability to score the users in real time or in a couple of hour intervals, but we do want to give you these inputs back every 24 hours so you're not dealing with a lot of false positives or false negatives, and there is not a lot of fluctuation in the optimized segments that you have to deal with. So it's a really smooth system. Optimization happens in real time, and you'll have a bunch of optimized segments that you can target within 24 hours. Okay. As I mentioned before, we have created a really unique and user-friendly user interface for our customers to use Optimizer. There are 4 easy steps you need to go through to create a model. We have done a lot of research, and we identified 3 key types of models that our customers use. And this should apply to majority of our customers. Right? The first model is campaign optimization. The main idea behind campaign optimization is improving specific campaign KPIs like clicks, conversions, etc., and the performance of those KPIs within an existing campaign. The second model is extension model. This goes back to my American Idol example, where you have a really premium audience segment, but you don't have enough scale. So we can use act-alike models to identify users that have a high probability of performing similar to the underlying seed audience segment. The third model is conversion models. The focus of conversion models is identifying people who are very similar to users that are converting on your campaign. Now remember, most of our customers, if not some of our customers, do a lot of multi-channel conversions, right? So advertisers, marketers, you work with several websites and DSPs and exchanges when you're running your campaign. So you, in some instances, don't know where the consumer saw the ad, but you do have a conversion behavior on various consumers. So in these multi-channel conversions, we can use this model to identify other users who have a high probability of converting on that specific campaign. Okay, so once you identify the type of model you want to run and the type of optimization you want to do, the next step is selecting specific attributes associated with that model. So we have some pre-created models available to you. You can create a new model from scratch. When you're creating a model, you do need to provide certain inputs to the modeling engine. Now, this shows the kind of flexibility and customization you can add to each and every model. So this is an example of a campaign optimization model. If you go from top to bottom, you'll give a name to that model. You can enter whether the model has an end date. So most of the campaigns that you run typically have an end date. So it's recommended that you provide that end date to the model. And then you'll select the model. And as you select the model, you'll have the option to select the KPI that you're trying to optimize for that model. Now, the KPI can be a conversion, a view-through, a click-through, or any other metric either your ad server tracks or you can pixel and inform Lotame about. You also have the option of using any combination of first, third, and branded data to power your models. And you can let the model know that I am trying to target these optimized segments and users within these optimized segments on my inventory, if you are a publisher, or via audience extension on open exchanges or via private marketplace or via DSP, etc. So you do have the option to create these models just for audience enrichment on your inventory or for audience extension on third-party inventory. The last section is very unique and really important as we go through some of the case studies. You'll see the value of these scoring pools. Scoring pools let you choose how the models return the optimized segment, right? So when we create a model, the end result is basically a bunch of users that we have seen across various universes and a probability associated with that user. And the probability basically says how closely that user mimics the underlying seed audience, or it also represents the probability of that user performing a certain click or a conversion, etc. You have the option using scoring pools to bucket the top X% of users or top Y% of users and create multiple layers of these scoring pools. The reason you want to do that is when you take these segments and try to target these optimized segments for a given campaign, we want you to play with the quality versus quantity equation, right? There might be some campaigns where your primary goal is quality and you're okay compromising on the quality aspect. In those scenarios, you'll probably end up choosing a top 20 or top 1% bucket. And there will be some campaigns where both quality and quantity are important to you, but you might want to compromise a bit on quantity to reach your impression target or your unique target. In those scenarios, you can end up creating multiple levels of scoring pools. Okay. Once you click submit, once the model is created, as I mentioned before, the model starts training various users and it starts scoring people. And within 24 hours, you'll see a set of results. In this screenshot, we're showing you a campaign optimization model created with 4 scoring pools, top 1%, top 5%, 10%, and 20% of users. And we immediately show you the potential reach of various scoring pools in terms of total uniques you can reach and total opportunities, which are proxy to the number of impressions you can serve across users that belong to various scoring pools. So you can create specific audience segments using these scoring pools, add them as targeting criteria under various line items in your ad server, and go ahead and target those users to improve the performance of your campaign. Okay. I'll let Jeremy talk about some the type of data we look for when we're trying to model or when we're trying to create these models, and some of the thresholds we'd like to apply to these models.
Yeah, thanks, Kalyan. So now that we understand a little bit more what the use cases are, I think it's useful to go through a little bit of best practices about how to make the most of the technology and what kind of data is appropriate and what amount of data is appropriate to start creating the models. So as we mentioned before, the key thing is that the machine learning algorithms which are behind this product are fueled by data. And so if in doubt, more data is better than less. It is designed in such a way that you can never hurt performance by adding more data. And so, if you're not sure, then it's best to use a bigger pool of data. And you can always try reducing that data later on once the performance has been achieved to see if it's possible with less data. That goes for the selection of the first set, third party as well as a branded second party data sets. The other question is for an event which is based on conversion events or click events, or in the case of extension based on seed users, how many of those users are necessary in order to get started with the product? We have a table here, which I'm not going to go through the whole table there, but you see there's a column there for the minimum possible, for acceptable quality, and for high quality. Now, what that means is, if you have a look for campaign optimization, the minimum possible data in order to train a model is 300 clickers in the last 30 days. Once you get to that threshold, the model training will succeed and you will have a model. Now, there is some uncertainty with that small amount of clickers. When the models are internally back tested, can't be 100% sure of what the performance is going to be, but the performance will give you some lift, and that's something which is safe to try in your campaign. As the campaigns progress, and especially as the optimization kicks in and the clicks or conversions get cheaper, you should be able to move on to the 500 and up to the 1,000 examples in order to move up to the higher quality. And the model will keep on learning from all of the data in the last 30 days, no matter how much there is. There's never a threshold at which there's too many. But you do need to keep in mind of the expectation of the minimum amount of data that needs to be present in the system in order for the modeling process to work in its fully automated manner. So moving on, that's all really nice, but I'm sure that everyone is wondering, how does it actually work in practice? And we've put together a few case studies here which show what the product can actually do. These are all obviously anonymized customers. The first case study here was based on a campaign optimization model for a consumer telecom customer. And the objective there was a pretty standard one, to increase the click-through rates and optimize the ad spend. This is a publisher campaign, by the way. So the solution was to train the campaign optimization model using first and third-party data sets based on behavioral patterns, and to rank the users by the likelihood to click on the ad. So that's the standard campaign optimization enrichment use case that Kalyan went through before. And the campaign was delivered in order to target just the highest bands. This particular campaign was delivered across very, very granular bands in order to get an understanding of exactly what the curve was like and what the trade-off between reach versus lift was. So the results there are that when the reach was reduced down to about 25% of the total available impressions, there was a lift of over 90% on a click-through rate performance. When a larger band was used, which had a reach of about 37%, the lift was down to about 77% over the untargeted campaign. Maybe Kalyan, you could take us through the next couple of case studies.
Sure. Yeah. So the next case study is very similar in terms of the KPI, right? Here is a premium Lotame customer that ran a CTR, a click-through rate driven campaign for a local bank. Now, the reason why we wanted to highlight this particular use case is look at the number of clicks that this campaign delivered over the 30-day period. It was a very small campaign. We saw about 300 clicks over 30 days where this campaign ran. And we started optimizing this campaign from week 2. Now, this number of clicks here in the last 30-day period falls in the lowest band that Jeremy walked us through. But what's unique about this campaign was those 300 clicks that we saw, the users were very diverse in their profile that we were able to use them to create a very compelling optimization model. And we saw significant lift in performance when we started targeting the optimized segment for this particular campaign. Just to go through the results, we saw, the click-through rate almost doubled as soon as we started targeting users or the optimized segment for this campaign. Now, what's unique about this improvement is we were able to drive about 19 percentage points improvement in click-through rate with about 1/3 of the delivered impressions compared to when this campaign was running without any optimization. This goes back to the point that I was talking about earlier. The Optimizer product is not just created to give you a performance lift. It's created to get you that lift with the lowest possible dollar amount and the lowest possible cost. And from an advertiser standpoint, we also want you to reduce ad wastage by targeting only those users with the highest probability of performing on your campaign. And the next use case is this example is about conversions. The objective here was how can we increase conversions for e-commerce campaign, and we ran this campaign across 2 distinct local markets. Now, this does not really talk about the lift in conversions, but the point that we want you to focus on here is the importance of scoring pools. Remember the tuning that you can do with lift versus reach, quality versus quantity when you're creating these optimization models. This talks about that particular use case. So we applied conversion optimization model using third-party behavioral data to increase the number of conversions on this campaign. As you can see from the chart on the right, for market 1, we created 3 scoring pools of users in the top 1%, top 5%, and top 10%. And we saw a significant increase in conversion. So we saw a really good conversion rate when we targeted the top 1% and top 5% users. But as we went to the top 10%, the conversion rate has significantly dropped. Now, if you're an advertiser or a publisher who are trying to deliver the best performance with as much reach as possible without wasting a lot of ad dollars, you'll probably want to concentrate on the top 1% and 5%, and you probably want to ignore the top 10% and rate for and greater than top 10% because there is no significant lift in conversion by adding all that reach. So, just to summarize real quick, Lotame Optimizer product powered by Datacratic is created to power improvements in performance of various campaigns and extending the reach of your audience segments with no additional setup. And it has powerful machine learning and AI algorithms that are powering it. And the guys who are doing it from Datacratic, Jeremy and his team, they have extensive knowledge about this space, and they have delivered several improvements in campaign performance. And the combination of their really unique machine learning algorithms and Lotame's rich first, second, and third-party data powers these models, providing significant lift in campaign performance. And one very unique thing that you need to keep in mind is this performance improvements can be delivered within 24 hours after launching the campaign. This optimization happens in flight, and the models are super powerful, and the amount of data we have is super powerful enough to deliver those results ASAP.
Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you, Kalyan. That was great. I really appreciate all of that really great information for our audience. Now, we'd like to open up for Q&A. We see there are already some questions in the queue, but if you have any questions for Kalyan or for Jeremy, feel free to use the chat mechanism and send your question through, and we will make sure that we get to it before the end of the webinar. Now, I'm just going to read the first one to both of you. This might be geared more towards Jeremy. It says, I have lots of existing data from many sources, including Lotame and our own internal data. Do you have any recommendations on how to set up modeled audience for maximum success?
Yeah, so if you don't mind, Kalyan, I might take that question.
Sure.
So, yeah, we spoke to that a little bit there on the slide, which was talking about the minimum data requirements. Yeah, the key rule of thumb here is that data is fuel for the fire. And so the more data you have available, the better. I think the second thing that you need to keep in mind of is while you're getting started with the product, it's a good idea to think about how you can test as you're going in order to understand what the performance lift of the product gives you is, and to start to develop intuitive understanding of the best way to use it. So when delivering the campaign, it's often a good idea to target a couple of different bands to see the difference in performance between them. Not too many, because you're going to split the dollars too finely, or to run some kind of an A/B test on the side with a small sliver of the budget in order to check what the actual performance lift of the campaign, of the optimization is.
That's great, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Now, Kalyan, this is probably for you. It's about the UI that we were looking at in the 4 easy steps. The question is from Gareth. Thank you very much. When creating an optimized model, there was a drop down for campaign. Where does this campaign come from, and is it something that we need to add?
Great. Thanks for that question, Gareth. So there are multiple ways to populate that campaign list. Lotame has server-to-server integrations with I would not say all ad servers, but some of the major ad servers out there, where we are ingesting ad server log file data every day. So we populate that campaign list from those ad server log files. Now, if you work with your own customized version of the ad server, or if you have an enterprise version of one of these, OAS or DFPs, we can definitely ingest your log files, or you can simply pixel various campaigns to populate those the list of campaigns that you see in the UI.
Excellent. Thank you, Kalyan. We have another question, and that is, how soon can I get results back after I create a new model?
Sure. Jeremy, you want me to take it if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so the default answer to that question is you will start seeing results within 24 hours. That's how our system is designed. So you start a campaign, you'll see results from the system within 24 hours. Now, that's not really a blanket statement. That's how it's designed, right? So let's say you started a campaign, we're not getting enough clicks. We're seeing a couple of clicks. We don't have enough data on the users that performed on that particular campaign. In those scenarios, we'll probably end up waiting for a couple of days or maybe a week to get audience to power the campaign. But with enough data, you can start seeing results within 24 hours.
Great, thanks, Kalyan. We have a couple more questions. The next one is, I like the stock models that you've created, but I can think of some other use cases like recommendations engines, content optimization, etc. Would you support that?
Yeah, so that's one of the unique advantages of the partnership we have with Datacratic, right? So we created those canned models because those are the types of models that most of our customers suggested or useful for them. But we completely understand that there might be some very unique data sets that you have or very unique use cases that you want to support. Like, as you mentioned, I think you said content personalization as one of the use cases. We can definitely work with you, on a consultative basis to create a custom model just to suit your data requirements and your use cases and build it into the regular UI flow.
It's great to know that the Lotame Optimizer has that level of flexibility, Kalyan. Thank you. Just a reminder to our audience, if you have any questions, it's the last call for questions. Go ahead and send them through the chat mechanism or the questions feature, and we'll make sure that we get to it. We have one more in the queue, so if you do have one, go ahead and send it now. The last question that we have, unless we get another one before we end, is I'm a Lotame customer, so how do I get access to the Lotame Optimizer?
Right. You can actually shoot me an email, klanka@lotame.com. The best preferred way is please reach out to your Lotame customer success representative, and they'll be able to help you turn this on.
Excellent. Thank you, Kalyan. Well, thank you, everyone, for attending the webinar today. We really appreciate taking the time out of your busy day. We will be sending everyone who registered a link to the recording of the webinar, so you can certainly refer back to it or share it with your network if you'd like. My name is Anastasia Valentine. I'm from Datacratic, and I want to thank you again for your time today. Have a great day.